welcome to this meeting. It is being recorded. I can't turn on the closed captioning yet, but hopefully in a minute I'll be able to turn it on. And then you will be able to watch the closed captioning if you would like to. Sorry that it's not running right now. What else? I think those are the only things. Okay. Why don't we check in really quickly, see how everybody's doing, and then we can get started. Well, let's see. Let me call this meeting to order first. I always forget about that part. It is 7:05, and we have to call the attendance or presentness or whatever it's called. So I'm going to go around. Elizabeth, are you here?
I am here.
Nicole, are you here? Eileen, how about you?
I'm here.
Yana, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Lindsay? Daniela?
Here.
Jeremy?
Here.
Sherry?
Here, my space
Emma?
bar wasn't working to release the mute.
Oh, yeah. Emma, are you here?
I'm here.
Maria?
I'm here.
Teresa?
I'm here.
And Stephen, are you here?
I'm here.
This is so exciting. Everyone's here. I'm also here. Okay, great. I love that formality. What an excellent thing to do. All right. Now I would love to check in and see how people are doing. How about check-in meeting? Check-in question is, I didn't think of my check-in question yet. How about, what is your favorite thing to do when it is snowing outside? My favorite thing to do when it's snowing outside, I think I will say hiking. I like winter hiking. And it's nice when it's snowing. I feel like it's extra peaceful. How about you, Yana?
I think sledding. I love sledding. We have like this huge LL Bean tubes, so they go really fast. So it's a fun. Maria.
I'm torn between hiding inside and watching a movie. Or yeah, snowshoeing through the woods somewhere. It's very peaceful and still, and I love the sound of like the crunching of the snow. So Nicole.
I also like sledding or watching the kids sled, but I like to stay in my pajamas and drink hot chocolate is what I like more now. Go to Elizabeth.
So I'm also torn between an indoor and an outdoor. I get cold really easily, so I love to sit at the window and watch it snow and see how beautiful it is. But actually outdoors in the snow, I love going out while it's still snowing and things are unplowed and taking my skis out on the actual road, or taking my skis out on sidewalks that have been shoveled but not super well, so that I can really get going with them. And let's see. Jeremy.
I like to walk out on our covered deck, so I'm not in the middle of the snow per se, and look back into the woods at the unaffected snow or the freshly tracks from the critters that have come behind the house. So it's one of my favorite things is to see all the things that you don't see when there's no snow. You can tell how many things have gone by your house, and you'd be surprised how many there are. and how big some of them are. So that's what I like best. How about Teresa?
I'm really afraid of the cold, so I'm not really want to be outside when it's snowing, but I think that I drink a lot of hot tea. So hot tea inside, really warm with the fireplace going. It's my perfect day. Let's see, Lindsay.
Sorry about that. My favorite thing to do, I don't know if anyone, can you still see me? Sorry about that. In the snow is not be in the snow because I am not a huge fan of the snow at all. So I don't know if you can see me still, but yeah, I like staying indoors. So Daniela, sorry about that.
I like to make a fire. We have a couple fireplaces in our house. So definitely that for me, but also there's some personal enjoyment in just watching my dog who we got last year, and she bucks in the snow. Like she's just so happy to be in it. She's like trying to like jump on it like a trampoline, and it's really entertaining. So I think it's a nice shared family enjoyment. And then I post those videos on the internet too, so my friends from afar can enjoy her being such a derp. Eileen?
I was going to say something similar. We have a white English bulldog, and she loves the snow, especially like to get some height. So like you can throw a snowball and she's like up good 4 feet, which is kind of impressive. But then otherwise we're like snuggled on the couch with the fire going and hot chocolate and not snowshoeing through Wakefield. Sherry, how about you?
Well, having lived in the snow belt of upstate New York on 200 acres, when it is snowing, because we shortly have to go out and shovel and plow, I enjoy sitting in my living room window seat that my husband built, read a book and watch it snow, because shortly I'll be going out. But as soon as the snow is over, you know how it gets really bright and clear and blue sky on the day after a snowstorm? We go snowshoeing, we go hiking in the woods. Just even walking around town is magical. So we love the snow, but we pretty much wait because we're going to be doing a lot of shoveling and plowing.
Sherry, you want to pick the next person?
I am very sorry. Glavia, our guest.
Okay. I can honestly say I hate the snow. I hate the cold. This is not my favorite season. So when it snows, once I hear it snowing, I'm already annoyed. And then I just wait for it to be done and miserably go outside and be like, nah, I should shovel. So I'm not a fan of the snow, the cold weather. So hence why I ask myself, why do I live in Massachusetts? But here we are.
Okay, I was busy getting the host key situation settled. Is there anyone who hasn't gone yet?
Oh,
Em-
Emma.
I definitely like staying inside when it's snowing, but after it snows, I love skiing or just being out there in the clear weather. Steven?
Sorry, I was struggling for my mute button. I'm like trying to multitask while I'm picking our daughter up from Daisy's. So we found a great hobby last winter because of the pandemic. Otherwise, I don't think we would have done this. But we snowshoe into a quiet place where there's a hill, and then we go sledding. And we bring a thermos of cocoa. And that's our new favorite thing. And our sled is the LO Bean tube that Yana had described, and they are awesome. Was I the last, or?
I think so. Some people are nodding. Great.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. We don't really have any public participation because we don't really have any members of the public here, but we do have a guest speaker. I don't know, Nicole, do you want to introduce Flavia? How should we do this?
Yeah, sure. So this month we have another person for our little 10-minute speaker series. It's Flavia Smith. She is the director of the MECO program here in Wakefield. Is that the correct title? And she is housed at the high school. So she's going to give us a little bit of information, and then you'll have 5 minutes for questions. And yeah.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me with the program. A little bit of my background. I started my role as the MECO director I've been in it for 3 years now. So I started right before, 2019, October 2019, did that full school year kind of, sort of, and then COVID hit. So then we did that, and then I'm back for my 3rd year. So I'm hoping to do so I'm not sure if I'll be able to share my screen. I did like a small little presentation to kind of talk about MECO, give some information for you guys, and then we can do questions.
I think you can share your screen.
Okay.
Do you see it?
If not, you can make her a co-host and share it.
Oh, maybe that's what you have to do. I got it.
And then she can share.
All right. Now
so
you should be able to do it.
All right, so I'm gonna pull up my screen.
Yep.
All righty, so let me just wait a second. All right, so what I wanted to come and start off is to just give you guys a little bit brief history on the MECO program and what exactly is MECO, right? So MECO it's not an acronym. It doesn't stand for anything in particular, but what it means is MECO is considered the Metropolitan Council for Educational Opportunity, which was incorporated in 1966 as a voluntary desegregation program under the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So in 1965, Massachusetts basically did a law, Chapter 76, Section 12A, in which it gave the city and town and school committees and districts the right to help alleviate racial isolation and racial imbalance in schools by placing children who reside elsewhere in their schools. MECO has been the service provider for displacement since 1966, and the state legislators allocates funding every year, and grants are then administered by the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. So MECO promotes integration of suburban schools while affording the opportunity for Boston resident youths in the suburban public education. Right now, there are currently 37 plus communities and towns in Massachusetts that participate in MECO. We have over 3,300 students that are overall enrolled in Massachusetts in the MECO program, and our headquarters is located in Roxbury. So Wakefield started participating in the MECO program in 1969. So Wakefield has about 53 years that the MECO program has actually existed in Wakefield School District. And currently we are serving about 65 Boston res students from the Boston area. In addition to Wakefield, our other neighboring towns who also have MECO programs are Linfield, Melrose, Marblehead, Reading, and Swampscott. As you can see, those towns are not that far from us. So our MECO's mission is really to provide opportunity for children from racially segregated schools in Boston, children from racially isolated schools in the suburbs to learn together in integrated public schools. And the mission is that every student in MECO district experience an inclusive, equitable, and anti-racist education. Values, our external values are education, innovation, and justice. And our internal values are teamwork, flexibility, integrity, communication, professionalism. How are students enrolled in MECO? So typically kids are eligible to enroll once they are 5 by the end of August. Parents go online, they complete the application, and then they get assigned to a particular district by lottery system. So parents do not have the option to kind of cherry pick or pick the district they want to go into. So once you are assigned to a district, you then work with that district to basically go through an orientation. We meet your students, we do an assessment on their academics and see how they're doing, request their records. And then after then we would offer a seat. So even though we offer a seat, we're still assessing the student. And in addition to it, parents have the right to say they no longer want to accept the seat. So if a parent say they no longer want to accept the seat, then their application is closed and they are welcome to reapply next year for next placement. Once students are accepted, then we then fully enroll the students as a Wakefield student. So those students are considered Wakefield student. They do not get any services from Boston Public School at all. And then that's how families are now part of the MECO program. Right now with Wakefield MECO student composition, our students come from all socioeconomic background. We have students that are Latino, African-American, and from the BIPOC community. And we enroll students across grade levels. So currently we have 26 high school students, and these are the numbers. So we have 5 seniors, 4 11th graders, 9 10th graders, and 8 9th graders. At the middle school, we have 22, and then that's the breakdown of the numbers of each grade. And at the elementary, we have 17 elementary students all together across the 4 elementary within the district. A little bit of background. So these are our seniors from last year. We had 6 seniors last year. We're missing one because she actually traveled during this event we had for their senior dinner. So these are our seniors from last year. So we have a senior at Merrimack College. We have a senior at North Carolina College, which is a HBSU school. We have one at Framingham State, Bunker Hill, and Worcester State. So this typically is like questions I was gonna do there, but I will stop sharing and I'll just go to talking. So typically our enrollment period will start about this time around this year, around January, February, and we try to give parents answer before the school year is over so that we have time to meet with them, do assessments, and figure out what's happening. So seats are typically assigned based on what's available in the district. So for the past, I think 2 years since I've been doing the enrollment, Wakefield has definitely seen a surge in their kindergarten classes. So it's not, so some years we can't take kindergartners because we just don't have the space for them. But the past 2 years we have, and we also do selection based on sibling. So if one of my students have a sibling that is looking for a MECO program, they would automatically be referred to Wakefield. So that's the only way a family could get into a district that they want. It's only by a sibling preference. So I don't know if anyone have any questions. So I do want to, oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
So our students, you know, they're very involved in the community. We have students that's been attending Wakefield since kindergarten, and they graduate from Wakefield. So our students are, you know, they try to embed themselves as much as they can within the Wakefield community. I think it's a challenge sometimes for them because they get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to catch the bus. So the first high school bus pickup stop is at 5:55 in the morning. So that's my first student getting on. And then my elementary and middle school, those kids, their first stop is at 6:15. So they're up pretty early. And my high school kids do not get home probably until like 3:30-ish. And my middle school kids, if traffic is not too bad, by 5 o'clock. This is their bus stop. They're not home yet. And then I have my athletes that are in the district today until 8:30. So they're there all day. So I'm typically checking in to make sure they have their transportation. So our students are pretty versed, and I think our students, they work really hard. They're extremely hard workers. And I think they're pretty cool kids. I love them. They're really good behaved kids for the most part. They have their ups and downs, but I think for the most part, they're making the best of being in a all-white community that sometimes can be very difficult for them. I would say this year have been exceptionally hard for my high school kids because I think there's been a uptick of racial slurs that are always being put on the bathroom walls. So that's very hard for them to try to learn, make friends, keep friends, and always having to be bombarded with racial slurs written on the bathroom walls. But I think for the most part, they try to lean on each other. And I think whatever friendships they have within the district, they try to, be supportive of that. But, this year has been a little difficult for them, but they're managing.
That was actually one of my questions. Do you create caucus space for them where they can be separate and talk about their experiences of racism in the school? Because I'm a white person, so I don't experience it that way, but I imagine those kids really need that space to just be with one another.
So I sit at the high school Monday through Friday. I'm usually there. I'm pretty much available to them. They have my cell phone number. So we talk, they stop in. I have an open door policy with them. So that's usually where if something's happening or something happened or something's going on, I already know. Sometimes I know before administration because they're already running in my office, talking about it. We're debriefing. Sometimes we don't agree eye to eye because they're kids. But I think for the most part, they like the option of coming into my office and talking. And they also bring their friends who also have different feelings about stuff. We try to talk as much as we can, but I think most high school kids, they deal with it at that moment. And then when they're done, they just kind of move on to the next step. But, you try to check in the next, how you doing and everything else. They just say, oh, it's okay. But to them, it's just like, at this point, they're kind of like, it's expected, right? Which is kind of sad.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Maria, you were going to ask a question a minute ago.
So yeah, I had two questions. Thank you for being here, Glavia. First of all,
Welcome.
the first is following up on what you were just talking about. Is there kind of a consensus of what they would like to see as a show of support, either from the school administration or the student body? And then my second question is, I know there was some talk of partnering the Metco students with Wakefield families so that for the athletes, if they didn't have practice until 5 p.m, that they had a place that they could go and do their homework or have a snack or something like that. And I just wanted to see if that was still being talked about. And I know the pandemic kind of derailed everything.
So the first part of your question, so I think the question you asked is a larger complex information in the sense of if you have a district that has students of color there, I think for most students, they would like to see representation, right? So they would like to see the school, teachers, administration and stuff reflect them. So I'm being the only staff, I could be lying, there could be other staff at the high school, but if you just go on looks and how kids see people, I am the only, most of the time, dark-skinned staff walking the building. And on the administration team, I'm the only one on the administration team. So I think representation is important. I think information that is taught is important to reflect our student body. I think simple things as things that are hanging on the wall, momentums and statues and pictures need to also reflect them and their community, our accomplishments. So I think that's a larger conversation for the school to have as a district. And then I think there's another complex conversation in the community in general, right? And in the second part of your question, we do have the Wakefield Boston Parent Initiative that we're working on. It's been slow coming. We have put out the filter for anyone who's willing to sponsor or be a host. We did have a couple of families respond, and I'm still waiting to get some queries back. But I think, for our parents, there's always this little birdie in the back of their head wondering, who's the person and what's that person's about? Who am I about to expose my kids with because I'm not there? How do I know how people feel about Black people and my students? So I think there's a lot more that needs to be done, but I think the pandemic continues to kind of get in the way of doing some real collaboration in some meetings. And I think we did a bowling event in the beginning of the year, which went really well with some of our families. But I think we're hoping to do events along the way, but I think given the uptick in cases and everything that's going on, it's just been a little challenging. But I don't think I think there's a need, and I think some Wakefield families are open and willing to do it. I think it's just getting Boston families to kind of buy into it and trust the system and kind of know that those families have the same being of like their kids' well-being at heart also.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Benny, did you want me to close out or you wanted to close out?
Oh, I don't have strong feelings. Are there any other questions or
Oh, yeah.
anything else while we still have the opportunity to ask? Cool.
Great. Well, I wanted Glavia to come because I kind of wanted everyone to understand that, I felt like some people were thinking that MECO was like a charity program. And I wanted us to really understand really what it was and that they're there, that we're all a community. And this is just like they have chosen the school for a charter, and the struggles that they have, like coming early in the morning and the things that they have to do to stay in the program really shows their hard, it really shows hard work and commitment to the program. And I just hope that I do, but everyone can understand that that they are part of our community. They're no different than anyone else. It's just that they get up earlier, right? So anyway, thank you, Glavia, so much for coming. I appreciate it. And,
you're welcome. And I'll just close out. If anyone is interested in joining our Wakefield Boston Partnership Program, you can email me. Nicole also has my email address, and I'll gladly follow up with you. So thank you again for having me. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me via email.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Glavia.
Thank
Bye.
you. Have a good night, all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
And thanks for setting that up, Nicole. Okay, on to our next exciting part of the agenda, approval of the minutes. So for last month's full commission meeting on the 21st, does anybody have any changes or edits for Sherry to make in the minutes that she sent out? No. Okay. Then I never remember who was present and who wasn't from a previous week, from a previous month. So if I call your name and you weren't there, just let me know. But I'm going to go around and we can vote
Benny,
on. Yeah.
Don't you need a motion?
Oh, yeah.
Do it
thank you.
first.
I move to approve the minutes from the December 21st meeting.
Do I have a second?
A
Thank
second.
you. Wonderful. Okay. Elizabeth, what say you?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
Eileen? Jeremy? Jeremy looks frozen. We'll come back to Jeremy. Sherry?
Yes.
Emma?
I was not here.
Okay. Cool. Maria?
Yes.
Teresa?
Yes.
Lindsay? Yes. Lindsay says yes. Oops, what happened? And
Yes.
Danielle? Oh, thank you. Daniela, we didn't hear you, or I didn't hear you.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. And I also say yes. Okay, then we have for the Martin Luther King Jr. and Coretta Scott King Day Subcommittee, some minutes. So what I sent out was December 5th, December 29th, and January 5th. And I'm sorry because Nicole, you sent me January 11th and I didn't get it. I didn't send it out in time. So we can do that one next month.
That's right.
So there's 3 of those. And we can approve them all in one motion, December 5th, 29th, and January 5th. Oh, first, are there any changes, modifications, anybody who's on the committee would like to make?
No.
No.
I think Sherry has a question.
Yes. Did you say it was December 5th and December 29th only?
And January 5th.
Okay, so December 5th, December 29th, and January 5th.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I want to get it correct.
thank you. Okay, so do we have a motion to approve those 3?
I have a motion to approve the minutes from, do I have to say the dates? December 5th, January 5th, and I lost the other one,
December 29th.
December 20th. Anybody want to second that?
I second.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Okay, so then Nicole, how do you vote on that?
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
Jeremy,
Yes.
and Elizabeth, I'm not sure, did I make up that you were on that committee?
I think I initially was supposed to be and then was not ever able to make any meetings.
Great. Sorry for cluttering your inbox with some stuff.
No worries.
Okay, cool. And the last thing for approval of the minutes is the International Women's Day Subcommittee meeting from January 6th. And I also don't remember who's on this subcommittee, so you will have to tell me.
It's
Make a
Emma,
motion to, oh, sorry.
Emma Maria, Eileen, and myself.
Okay, any changes to be made to those minutes? No, everybody says it's good. In that case, would somebody like to make a motion to approve those minutes?
I will make a motion to approve the January 6th minutes.
Does anybody want a second?
Second.
Excellent. All right. Eileen, how do you vote? Sherry,
Yes.
Emma,
Yes.
Maria.
Yes.
All righty. Thank you, everybody. Let's see now. The next thing on here is the Martin Luther King, Coretta Scott King Day, like an update on what's going on with that. So I don't know if one of you wants to share back what's been happening.
A lot of disappointment. So as you all know, we were not able to have our event. We were highly encouraged by the town due to the numbers and COVID and everything else. We unfortunately did plan only to have a live event. We didn't really plan for an online event, and it was kind of a last minute decision in regards to pulling it. So instead, we on Monday, we did kind of have a little mini kind of donation that was posted online. Benny did that for us, and then we gathered some items that were requested, and we donated those. And we are working to kind of get something together for Black History Month, so we can have something online, and then we'll be able to kind of give those service awards. We did pick the recipients in our last meeting, subcommittee meeting. So we did do that, but we just haven't done like anything major about that, but the plan is to do it during Black History Month. So I don't know, Nicole or Jeremy, if you want to add anything.
I would just add that, it's not that we're planning just to do something, we're actually doing the program as we had planned to do it live, but now where we have to do each person as a separate component and put them together like last year, we decided that we couldn't do that and justify having the quality that we wanted. So WCAT has graciously volunteered to help out with us to do the virtual event as the blocks like last year. So, it will still be a full program, and I'm pretty sure we still have the same entertainment group that we were gonna have, right, Nicole, hopefully. So we'll be able to do it, and it'll fit in with Black History Month. And I have a couple scouts that have lined up to do their part as well. So, I mean, it will all still be there. It just won't be on yesterday because yesterday's passed. So, but it's a bummer. But, we had really, really good nominations for the service awards this year. So, I mean, that, it's a shame that we couldn't do it in person, but, it's a shame for a lot of things these days, but we all survive and move on. So we shall do the same.
Mhm. And is it okay if I mention who won the service awards? Would you like me to do that, Benny, Teresa? So for our youth, Lauren, Blois, and Yana. Yay, Yana. For the business, we decided to give the award to WCAT. And for the individual award is Mr. Jim Scott.
That's exciting. Sherry, go ahead.
Could you please repeat the name of the students besides Yana, the other student who won the service award?
Lauren Blois, Blois.
Thank you. And let's see, and the individual citizen award, you said is Jim Scott?
Jim Scott, correct.
Okay. Do you have anything else? He's a citizen of Wakefield, I take it.
Right, yes. He's with he used to be with the Friends of Lake Quinnipiac. I can't remember the other things written about him, but it was quite impressive.
Very involved in the community.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you all for all the work that you've put into, I mean, the event, the stuff that you have planned, like the dancers and the award ceremony and the, like, everything. I don't know. It's all really great. I'm sad that it couldn't happen yesterday. I bet you all are sad. I'm sad for you that you put in a lot of work, and I'm excited to see it in February. So we can definitely like hype it up. I think I'm excited to really like get the word out, like really make sure that people know what's happening, and that they like can see it and be exposed to the cool stuff that you all put together.
We did also get a lot of donations, so I went and picked it up today. So I have to get it together to deliver. And don't ask me where it's going because I can't remember right now. I have it written down.
What kind of donations?
We asked for toiletries, hats, gloves, and socks. There seem to be some t-shirts under there, in there for men. Yeah, but hats and gloves I saw in there, and lots of toothpaste, soap, and.
So basically for people who might be unhoused?
Yes, Officer Randall gave us a place to deliver to that needed it, and I just can't, I'm drawing a blank. I don't remember right now, but that's where I'm gonna take it to.
Any other stuff, other like things to add, or any other, like, do people have any questions or anything like that for the MLK CSK Day? Do you all need anything else in the lead up to getting it ready for February?
No, I think I just need to get in touch with you, Benny, for the certificates to get your signature, and then I have to do that. So I have to coordinate. I'll text you.
Yeah, just get a hold of me whenever it's good.
Okay.
It will be official.
Yes, always.
Okay. I don't know. Is there a separate Black History Month like plan in addition to that? Or I don't know I don't know what's going on. I guess my question is that. Are there any plans or updates about Black History Month?
I don't think so.
I didn't think so either, and I just wanted to make sure I wasn't like totally like leaving someone on the sidelines who's been like working on a project.
Actually, Daniela and I, the language of diversity, we were going to focus on what was appropriate for Black History Month. So that will come out during February.
Cool. That sounds like a cool tie-in. Well, those things are good. Let's see. So the next thing on the agenda is the International Women's Day Subcommittee. If you all have any updates or things you want to talk with the rest of the commission.
Maria, you want to take a lead on that?
Sure. So yeah, we met, I think last Tuesday, and we are hoping to do a panel and focusing on the international aspect of International Women's Day. We are reaching out to several residents of Wakefield who are immigrants themselves or first-generation immigrants to hear their stories and experiences, kind of expectations when they first came here, how those expectations were or were not met, and just to hear their stories. So Saratine Rizzuto is one of the panelists who has confirmed. We are reaching out. I know a few of us were reaching out to different people. So that's the person that I had reached out to who confirmed. We're still not quite sure who's going to moderate yet. I did ask Maureen, and we're going to have a conversation and just give her more details. So, but yeah, she's definitely open to considering it. So, I think we're going to try and see if the female a cappella group at the high school, She Major, will perform. So we'll have the musical performance along with that. And then there is, of course, the question of, can it be in person? Do we have to do a virtual? So right now, I think we're anticipating it may be virtual, but we're going to look into booking the space at the school, at the high school, if cases come down and we're able to do something in person. So, but if not, then it would be a recorded virtual conversation.
And the date is March 8th.
Yes, thank you. I forgot that part. So, and then if anybody else wants to add anything from the subcommittee, jump on in.
I just want to say that we are trying to have women that represent just about every continent, so that it's a really diverse panel with all different kinds of experiences, like Maria said, from being first-generation American whose families are still very, very involved in their culture, to first-generation Americans themselves, new immigrants to America. We just thought that this would be a wonderful, different perspective on that particular day. And the theme for this year is, I think it's break the bias.
Yeah.
So we figure this has a double meaning, bias against, well, more than double meaning, bias against women, bias against immigrants, bias against people who don't look exactly like we look. So we thought it was very consistent with the theme. And that's the national theme. And we wish and hope and pray it's going to be live. But we will do Plan B just in case.
That all sounds great. Do you all need anything, any additional supports or anything from us?
We will be reaching out to individuals on the on the council for maybe some suggestions of panelists. But we'll do that offline.
And our next meeting is this coming Friday at 7 p.m. if anybody wants to join us.
Cool. Well, thank you all. Let's see. I'm going to move on to something that I kept on the agenda from last time, the youth council. I don't know, Yana, if you want to fill us in on what y'all are up to.
Right now we don't have a big update because we're meeting the 21st, so we haven't met in a while. So hopefully next time I have more of an update than that. But that's it so far.
I feel like I read something in the paper about some youth council related activity, and now I can't remember what it was. I was like, hey, I didn't know that was going on.
It's the snowflakes, the snow angels.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
That must have been it.
Yeah, people can sign up and volunteer, and so then when you sign up, you get chosen to do like someone's house nearby that signed up, that also needs signed up to get shoveled, and you just go whenever that snow hits, which is really good. We're hoping to have more people to volunteer and sign up, so I think we're gonna discuss and see how we can get the word out more. But yeah, it was good that you read it in the paper.
Yeah, that was totally
I saw it
weird.
online too.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And how are you? So that's in conjunction with the Council on Aging?
I'm not sure, but I think I'm not sure on that, but maybe I'll have to check.
Well, that's cool. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I think it'd be very successful this winter.
Awesome. Well, thank you for the update. What else? Stephen, I also left you on the agenda in case you wanted to give us any insights or updates on what's going on with the school committee.
I think sort of as it pertains to sort of HRC topics is just the policy and communications subcommittee is taking a look at some of our policies as they relate to discrimination, harassment, not just physical, sexual harassment, and then some tech policy around devices and social media. I think more the first part of it is probably more applicable than the latter, but just some interesting stuff around sort of what's coming out of other communities, particular language. I think in our sort of one of the recent the logo policy had some defined language in it around certain minority groups and stuff. I just think that we want to see some more robust language in some of the other policies as they exist for sort of what we expect, not just of students, but of educators and staff, and just sort of set the more level playing field. So that's some of the work that's going on. If you're signing up for newsletters and you're paying attention, you might hear stuff come about. But that's probably something that will get voted on in the next month or so.
And do you know the status of the logo revamp?
There is a group that has been put together. I believe they're going to meet 3 times. I'm not sure if any individuals here are on that. I'm not on it, so I'm not privy to who's actually on the committee. But they will sort of come up with some ideas. I'm hoping to get a robust sort of student presence, because that's who I think should be driving the conversation. We're really just picking what they feel reflects them as a population. And then I think the adults should just be there to sort of help them navigate their own sort of wishes. And so that's what I'm hoping we see, some sort of healthy discourse around. Yes, Yana.
I just want to say, I am on that, and we're meeting January 25th, February 1st, and February 8th between 6:30 and 8:30 p.m.
Could you repeat those dates? The 25th, February 28th. Did I get that?
January 25th.
Mm-hmm.
It's all Tuesdays. So January 25th, February 1st, and February 8th and then it's
Okay.
6:30 to 8:30 p.m.
The time again? I'm sorry.
No worries. 6:30 to 8:30 p.m.
Okay.
So yeah, so hopefully we see sort of good things come out of that. And in the administration, like I say, I'm hoping will help the students work to come up with something that works for them. I'd love to see something come out of the art department. You know, I'd like to see an idea. Then if somebody needs help sort of visualizing it, that again, we go to sort of our very adept, you know, student artists and see them sort of come up with something that they feel is them. And then that'll just, you know, hopefully come before a committee for just sort of a thumbs up. Hey, this is great. So again, a process moving forward. If it's that, you know, maybe we'll see that in 2 or 3 months. Fingers crossed.
Oh, cool. Thanks for the update.
Sure.
Do people have any other questions, stuff relating to school committee? Way to go, Yana, getting selected for that committee. I don't know. So in my mind, this was like everyone wanted to be on this committee, but maybe that's not reality. But I'm going to say congratulations on being selected for this very competitive committee.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's see. The next thing on here is the land acknowledgement. Eileen and I have been meeting a couple of times to talk about if we were to write a land acknowledgement, like what would that look like? Whose land are we on? How do you write that in a way that's like responsible? All kinds of stuff. So let's see. So far, we haven't written a land acknowledgement, but we have done some research and talked to some people, and it's been helpful. So we got some like incredibly helpful information from a local historian who lives in Melrose, who I know has done a bunch of research about the history of Native people in this area at the time of European settlement. And he totally gave us some helpful information because there's some like slightly inaccurate information if you Google it, like of whose land this is, like even on the Native Land CA website, which is like really renowned and a valuable resource. It's like slightly wonky for this region. So he gave us some super valuable information, which is we are on Massachusetts land, period. There's like there's this thing of like the Pawtucket, we're on the Pawtucket land. It turns out the Pawtucket are not a people. That's like a misnomer. And there's like a bunch of like political history around like the land and whatever. But turns out that this is like really without much question, Massachusetts land going back to the time of European settlement. So that was one piece of clarification that was helpful for us. And then we've been looking at some examples of other land acknowledgements or territorial acknowledgements. We got a hold of a copy of the one that was at the beginning of that music event that people had mentioned. Teresa, you mentioned this. So he sent us his copy and talked a little bit about what his process had been for writing that and things like that. And we met with, Rafa came and met with us, Danielle, and we emailed him. So he was talking to us also about like his process for how to write a land acknowledgement. This is somebody who helped us on Indigenous Peoples Day. What else? I feel like there was one other example of a land acknowledgement that we had that we were looking at. Can't remember. Anyway, so we're sort of like looking at different examples, figuring out what might be right, but we haven't actually like started wordsmithing yet.
We're probably like there,
yeah.
Right? We have so much information at this point. And the MCNAA also said that they'd be open to reading it when we're ready to share a draft. But it's nice to have this much information to make sure that we get it right. And that we sort of think about like what we're going to do once we create this land acknowledgement and how we're sort of going to, you know, set up at least how the HRC will sort of acknowledge the land over time, but also share resources and things like that. So it won't just be this one instance, right? It'll be sort of how are we going to contribute going forward? So we're probably there. It's just now we got to do it, Benny. So
Yeah, we're gonna do it soon.
yeah, it's time.
Yeah, and we got some helpful guidance too around, because in the beginning we were like, okay, so do we reach out to the Massachusetts people
Yeah.
to like involve them? It's like, what is the right thing? Do you write the thing first and then ask them if it's good, or do you involve them from the beginning? And after talking with a number of people who are like heavily involved in Native American advocacy around this area and involved with the Massachusetts, the guidance we got was write it first, like do your due diligence, do your research, do your best job that you can at writing it, get feedback from other activists who have done work in this, and then bring it to the Massachusetts, because there's like so many people coming to them with this ask. Like it's important for us to do the lifting and then see, you know, but with their eyes, like if what we wrote is good. So that's kind of where we're at.
So maybe I feel like we're putting a deadline on us, and maybe that's not okay, but maybe by the next time we meet, we'll have written something and be able to share it, because I think that would be kind of nice. And then we can plan for the rest of the year.
I think that sounds great. Do
It's
people have
becoming part of
any?
the record here.
Yeah, it's official. Anybody have any like thoughts, inputs, any kind of stuff that you would like us to consider as we're working on it? Yeah, go ahead, Jeremy.
I guess I'll be interested to see, based on some other ones as well, how detailed you go versus, you know, like how bold, how far out there to begin with. So I'm, you know, this is something I think we talked about when we first brought this up. So I'm looking forward to that first draft. No pressure. So, but it's cool. It sounds like you guys have done your homework and your legwork, so that's great. I appreciate all the effort that goes into it behind the scenes. So kudos.
Cool. Well, yeah, get excited. You'll read a draft next time, most likely. All right, the next thing on the agenda is the active bystander training, which I think is possible that I let something go between the cracks. I'm not totally sure what's going on with that, because we had reached out to the what do you call it, people, Quabbin, to see about doing like an after school training in the school. Oh, I remember what the holdup is right now. Okay. Nothing has changed since last month. It is that they are not doing in-person trainings, and there's like a real concern about whether there's an appetite for a virtual training at this point. So we're like a little bit in limbo, like we can't do it without their blessing. Like we can't, you know, we're not going to do it, the training in person, because that's not what they're doing. So I don't know, it's still sort of up in the air, but like in the wings perhaps for when it's possible to come back in person. So I just wanted to keep that on the radar, although nothing has actually happened since last time.
And I haven't heard anything from them either, and I'm a trainer.
Yeah. Yeah, they did say, however, when I was asking about it, so Daniel Lieber is another person who's, what do you call it? Like certified or whatever to do the trainings the way that Sherry is. And he's super excited about doing it in Wakefield. So if and when the time comes that we are going to be able to do the active bystander training, they sounded hopeful that it could be you and Dan co-facilitating, which I think would be great to have local people doing it. You know, connected to the community. So that is what's happening with that, or not happening, as the case is. Let's see, next on here, Sherry, is the financial report.
Yes, I just have a few brief words because I sent you so much material. What it basically boils down to is we had a revenue this year of, and this includes those wonderful donations we got for Hispanic Heritage Month, $2,677.76. We spent $1,269.91, which means between now and the end of our fiscal year, this is the calendar year numbers, end of December, we still have $1,407.85. So we have some money that we can spend. Plus we got that, it was small, but wonderful $48 donation that isn't reflected in there. So I just wanted you to know that we have money. We're not broke. We have $1,407.85.
I wonder, and maybe this is a question for next month, because I think it would be important for people to like think about it. So we have this money. I feel like we are in a position financially where we have some money. It's not a ton of money. It's not enough to fund like extravagant programs for every one of our events that we try to do. And so then each event is kind of like, well, the HRC has some money, but like, are we entitled to it? Like, should we spend it on our program? How much should each program get? Do we divide it evenly amongst all of our like 9 different programs that we do? So each one only gets a little bit of money. Do we like give a big pile of money to one program so they can do something amazing one year? You know, like, I feel like there's this bigger question for us of how do we make use of the money that we have in a way that is, what do you call it? Like in line with our mission and equitable and whatever. I'm interested if anybody has any thoughts that come to the top of your mind right now about that.
I think it's very hard to project because it really depends on how ambitious a particular committee is and what they want to present.
Yeah,
But we do have signature events that do tend to have more cost involved.
I think that's good data to have. I think it's also, yeah, it's also hard to say like what variant's going to be out there at that point in time. We're going to have an endemic or a pandemic that part of the year. And, but there could be value also to, if you divvy it up and someone in a committee has to do a virtual event, maybe that money goes towards a donation. Are we even allowed to donate? And perhaps I take that back. But yeah, I think what Sherry and I are trying to say is it's a little hard to project in this climate, but also if we wanted to give a couple of committees or events that we always do every year, you know, like maybe give them a little bit more money, and then the next year another subcommittee gets a little bit more money, and so it kind of like diversifies the big events that the HRC puts on versus it always being the same big events every year.
Yeah. The problem is, from the records I get from town hall, I can't tell what the money is being spent on. So I can't even tell you how much a particular event might have cost, other than maybe if I like Hispanic Heritage, we know because we had specific people that we were paying to perform, and we bought certain objects that items that we didn't even, which we now have, so we don't have to buy them again. But I mean, the way we're given those financial reports is so hard to figure anything out that I don't know how we can even predict and project. And of course, they always forget to send them to me too, so I have to ask them.
So the other question that I wanted to ask is that, so we have two separate accounts. We have the line item budget, which is the $1,000 that we need to spend by the end of the fiscal. We don't need to, but you generally want to try and spend it down by the end of the fiscal year in order to get the full funding, that renewed full funding for the next fiscal year. So, and then we have the revolving account that there's no pressure and there's no timeline in order to spend that money. So I guess my first question is, for the 1,000 plus that amount that you stated, Sherry, do you know where the source of that money is? And if it's all like, it looks like that there's no delineation between that funding. So if it is 1,000 and that 1,000, it turns out is just in the revolving account, then there's no pressure to spend it by the end of April. So that might be something, and you and I, we can have a conversation offline in terms of just making sure. I'm surprised that they weren't able to tell you kind of what's spent from the budget and what's spent from the revolving account. But again, we don't need to get into the weeds about that. We can have a conversation.
It's not in the written reports as far as I saw, but I will look again and I will make sure that I also talk to Ms. Sorrento at Town Hall and, and tell her what we really need, because she sends me these charts and they're not actually what we need. We need something much simpler than that.
Yeah, because that the answer to that may impact the outcome of how or when we choose to spend that money.
Yeah, so Sherry, would you be able to talk to her between now and next meeting and get the information of like, which money is in which account?
Yes, because I just put it as an action item for me.
Excellent. Yeah, because then maybe we can kind of lay out roughly when we meet in February, what money we have available for the events through the end of the fiscal year. So related to this, I will say we were awarded a grant from the Cultural Council for a concert at Pride. We got $500. So
nice.
Exciting. So now, Pride is one of those events where it will probably be a good idea to book that artist pretty soon, depending on who we want to try to book. So it is unnecessarily early to convene a Pride subcommittee, but I wonder if it makes sense to just like one person start working on trying to book somebody for June. Does that make sense for one person to just work on it themselves? Or is that like a bad idea? I don't know. What are your thoughts?
It is not too soon to try to book someone.
No, I know
Absolutely
that.
not.
I'm saying in terms of, should we be trying to have a subcommittee work on it at this point in January? Or I guess, okay, I will say out loud what I'm thinking, which is I think working alone leaves a lot of room for like assumptions or just like unquestioned decision making or whatever stuff. So I value working in subcommittees, and it's real early to convene a subcommittee for Pride. So I don't know what people's thoughts are about it. What's the best way to go about this?
Do we already have who it is that we're going to approach? What talent?
What I will say is in the grant application, I described what we were wanting to do in general terms, because I was like, we haven't actually booked anyone, but this is what we would like to do if we get the money. And the example I gave is Evan Greer, who is a local musician. I think she lives in JP. She's super cool and does a lot of like kids music, fun music, like also like adult music or whatever, but I'm picturing it as a family event. So she's a trans musician, also like pretty rad, like totally cool. So that was my like pitch in the grant application, was someone like Evan Greer, who could do like a kids concert that's like queer and trans friendly. Evan Greer is like kind of a big name for like our scale, but I am willing to try.
Now you're thinking about this event just in your head, like outside, like in the lake area or somewhere, because if it's a lake, it's 90 days. So just so.
Yeah, that's true too. So not only booking the musician, but booking the spot. Yeah, because if we
Right,
could
'cause
do
that's-
the bandstand.
Yeah, that's 90 days in advance. So.
So that would be sometime in March, right?
Yeah, so I
by
know we run into that last year, so.
Great point. Thank you.
Yeah. So I guess it's not too early then. I know.
Well, short of actually having a subcommittee, is there anyone who would like to knock their heads together with me about who would be a fun artist to book? You know, trying to move that ball.
I wish I had ideas. I don't even have any ideas. Otherwise, I'd say yes.
Happy to think about it with you, Benny.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, I don't personally have ideas, but I know people whose brains I could pick who would have really phenomenal ideas.
Cool. All right, let's exchange ideas. We'll figure it out.
I will also say I'm reaching out to the interfaith clergy group separately to try to set up an interfaith service for Pride for this year. So it would be especially helpful to like have an early eye on when a WHRC event is, because I would hate to make them conflict. I really don't want to do that. And my hope is to create something that is truly, truly interfaith and not just a handful of Christians and me.
Cool. I'm into it. All right, so we will exchange ideas about trying to book an artist and about like when a good kind of a date sounds like it might be, so that we can book the bandstand.
Can I just, sorry, go back on the budget piece? I know we did get approval from the committee to use $500 for the MLK. So I know we're going online now, but I think when we met as a subcommittee, we still wanted to like bring muffins and coffee and things to the WCAT. Like we still wanted to do things, you know, even though we're not going to be in a place, but like maybe bring them to the different people. So we're still, I think, going to be using money, just so you guys know.
That sounds like very small amounts. I mean, a box of Joe and a couple of boxes of
Yeah,
donuts
but
and
I
things
think,
like
yeah,
that.
there's
It's not
still
a
like
lot.
in the back of our heads, we're still kind of, you know, wanting to use, I mean, I'm sure we're not probably going to use the $500, but we still want to use some money.
Mhm.
Who are the dancers? Like, would it be appropriate to compensate the dance group?
Well, they medical program actually was going to pay for them to come here. They're closed right now, so we're hoping that they will respond to the email to see if they can record something and what they will charge, and if Glavia will still pay or we will. So we are still kind of waiting for that. They're a group from Roxbury.
Don't forget, we also have the shared grant from PINA for the Black Student Union and WHRC to do something together if money needed to be used from that grant. I can't remember off the top of my head how much it's for.
I think it's 200.
It might be
something in that range.
I know I have it somewhere in my email, so if you need the number, I can look that up.
So just educate me, because I have no idea. The money we get from grants, does that goes into our revolving account? So we have no pressure to spend. We can spend it anytime we need it, but it's very often earmarked, correct?
It depends on the grant. So the grants that we have gotten in the past, yes, they go into the revolving account. They're not part of our line item budget. This particular grant that I was talking about, that money is being held by the Black Student Union. The account, and we had, Pina had checked in to see what was the easiest, what made the most sense in terms of who to hold the money. And I think the answer came back that it should be held in the account for the Black Student Union, and they could earmark it. So yeah, but grants that are given to us outright, not linked to another group, would be in our revolving account.
And some of them are, so I mean, the Cultural Council grant is linked to the state fiscal year. So those have to be used by the end of June. So yeah, like Maria said, it depends on the grant. Okay. And also, if you looked at the stuff I emailed out, we got a $48 donation from a local business owner who sold masks, like homemade masks at the Festival by the Lake. And she gave people a choice of where, like, the proceeds were gonna be donated. So she gave people a choice of where they wanted their stuff to be donated. And WHRC was one of the options that she gave people. So then she donated the proceeds to us, which I thought was totally cool. So that came from Kayla Rush. Kayla? I've never met this person. So, and she owns this local company called the Veiled Valkyrie. So that was pretty
that
cool.
was awesome. Yeah, I really like that. That was nice.
Yeah.
The best part about it was that she helped spread the word about us. It's amazing how few people know that we even exist, even though we do very public things.
Lindsay, go ahead.
Sorry, just to speak to that, if I can, just for a second, to link to sort of budgeting, like I think what you just said is very relevant, and I think that not a lot of people know about the stuff we do, and I think that maybe some money could be spent towards marketing and sort of other things like that. And I don't think this is the right place to put it, but maybe for next time we could add some mental health stuff on the agenda, because Mental Health Awareness Month is coming up in May. And I think in general, it would be good to just have that stuff. And I think, using social media and that as a marketing tool for things like the active bystander training, it's not a lot of money often to promote things on Instagram and things like that could gain some traction with, students or just the general public and the town. Like, specifically, it's not that expensive to do on Instagram. I don't think in general. I'll look into it more, but if we had a page or something, we could help promote stuff. And I don't know, to link it back to the financial stuff. Sorry about that.
Yeah, and this gets back to a question that came up a couple of months ago, which is, are we allowed to pay to boost our posts? Like, is that a thing that we can use our budget on? And I asked the town and they said yes. So if that were something that we wanted to do, we are allowed to do that.
And are we allowed to use Instagram?
I have no idea.
I didn't think we were allowed to, but our loop around was that if it was in line with their mission as well, that we could use the youth council in our relationship with Yana here. Just basically making something that's a square, Instagram friendly format, and they can post it on their social media. So like if there's an event that we want to promote or the language of diversity, we can partner on things like that. That's, I believe, what it came down to when we had someone from the town come in and clarify about social media.
Go ahead, Lindsay.
Sorry. So can we allocate, so will we be able to consistently allocate funding to the youth council for the purposes of promoting and marketing different events that we hold kind of throughout, the year, or to just promote, Human Rights Commission and just the presence of our existence in general? Like, could that be something that we could budget for as part of the money that we need to use by the end of the fiscal year kind of thing, just so we know that we're at least using a good portion of it somewhere? Like, can we help fund the youth council that way and support them supporting our stuff that way too?
Oh, does anybody know how much it actually costs to boost a post, like either on Facebook or on Instagram? I've never done it. I don't even have a ballpark idea.
It would depend on how much. Yeah, I'm gonna let somebody else answer that.
It starts at $5, but you want to figure out like what kind of demographic you want to boost it to. That's the other thing, is like you need to understand what audience it's going to target it as. You also have to like select would be also interested in. So basically it uses user data on the back end, and it'll do like an algorithm where it boosts that post, and it'll be like a suggested ad or a suggested post depending on it's on Instagram or Facebook. Those are interchanged. but say like $5 and that could, be it'll boost to 200 people for 5 days, or you could boost to several thousand people in one day. So you choose where that money extends out to. So you can be strategic. If, say, for example, it's an event post, you would want to probably promote it a week before the event actually happens, and you'd probably want to pay for that full week leading up to the event. $5 can go a long way, but it all depends on how you cherry pick the how the algorithm is going to target people. $10 would be more than enough for just one post, like a lot more than enough.
Yeah, so we can try, we can talk about it in more detail, maybe next month when we have a better idea about the financial side of things. But yeah, like for each of the events that are coming up between now and the end of the year, do some boosting, like see what happens. If it's, if we're talking in that kind of dollar range, I feel like we could try it. Cool. Other stuff having to do with the finances? Oh, there's another thing. Anyway. Other stuff before I move on to the next thing on the agenda, which also has to do with finances. This had come up last time, which was, is it possible for the WHRC to make a donation to WCAT? Nicole, you had brought this up. About it.
Yeah, they were having an end of the year ask, or into the new year, because I'm not sure everybody knows that they don't receive funding from the town because of some whatever, I don't know, they're trying to work on it, but they don't have that funding. So they were asking other town groups to become a sponsor, one of the sponsor. They have different sponsor levels, and so I was just thinking it would probably be nice, even if we only were able to do $50 or $100 to them.
What are people's thoughts?
I think that would be very appropriate because they provide us with so much service, and we're going to keep on asking them for more. I mean, as we move on, because so much has to be virtual, and even when it's live, you really
still need them.
Yes, you still want people to be able to watch a live stream if they can't get to that live event. Because some people are housebound. I don't
know how it affects the donation that they were picked as our service award winner. So
it was already on the agenda before they were picked.
I know that, and I just want to make sure like nothing crosses over, right? Like so that it truly is a donation, and that's how it's viewed. So not a prize award. but I agree. I think they can't get donations from the town because they remain like a neutral reporting party, right? Like under the probably FCC guidelines or something like that. So
wait, would you say that again? What they can't get a donation from the town?
No. I suspect they're not like funded by the town. They're an independent entity, because that way, like, they probably, I'm just speculating that it would make sense that way they're not like paid by a town and then have a town channel, which, right? Like they're an independent entity, and so they remain neutral,
I believe it was on the town council's agenda 2 meetings ago. I haven't listened to it because they were trying to do something to rework it. But like I said, I just know that it's something why they can't. And what Jeremy said is probably true, but I think that they're trying to do something.
Yeah, and they've also been struggling because of that legislation that was passed like a couple of years ago, where the cable company funds I mean, like Comcast funds the local access TV channels. And there was like something or other that happened a couple of years ago where they cut that funding down like significantly. So it's like, it's been a struggle for the local access channels. So what are other people's thoughts? Making a donation to WCAT. Nicole mentioned like $100, $50, $100, something in that range.
Yeah.
Does it make a difference which account we take it out of?
Yeah, okay, I could be misunderstanding how to think about these accounts. In my mind, it makes more sense to take it out of the line item budget because we know that we need to spend that money by a certain time.
But it's, the question is whether we're permitted to take it out of line item or we need to take it out of the revolving.
Like, because that would be considered like getting town funding or something.
Mhm.
I
Maria,
guess
do
maybe
you have
that would
any
be a
idea?
question for WCAT.
Yeah. But I think $100 would be a good donation. I think
100
very
is
appropriate.
bronze, silver, I think silver is 300, and then gold 1,000, and platinum is 1,500. So I think
And are they considered a town body?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Okay. And the only reason I ask is for the conflict of interest law in terms of like maximum gifts can't be more than $50. So yeah, that was the only kind of red flag that went off. But if they're not, then I don't see any reason why we couldn't give a $100 donation.
They have like a board of directors and everything. We should probably double check. I think that's a great thing to double check about. So if we want to do this thing, would someone like to make a motion that we make a donation to the WCAT pending, I think, like figuring out this question of like, are we allowed to make a donation to them?
I motion that we make a donation to WCAT, the amount to be determined by what we're allowed to donate.
Second.
So does that mean that we'll come back next meeting and confirm the amount before moving forward? Because I think we would have to vote on the dollar amount at some point.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So then should we make a motion to approve with answer questions and to be voted on next week? Or I mean, do we change how Sherry made the motion?
Well, to append the motion, first we have to vote on the original motion.
Okay.
So that's Robert's rules. So first we have to vote on this one and say, nah, we're not going to vote on this motion. Let's make a new appended motion.
So there's not even a second for this motion yet, so I'm not sure what.
Oh, yes, someone, I thought
Yeah, someone
Daniela
seconded. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
Okay, then. So first we have to vote on this motion and then we're allowed to discuss making an amendment to it. I thought you could make like a friendly amendment or something.
Not an amendment to, no, first you have to vote on an original motion and then you can amend. I believe. Now, of course, I gave you all those Robert's Rules of Order, which is not in front of me and I should know better than that.
Can we just make a motion to suspend the rules for this vote?
Yeah, I don't.
Okay, I'll take it out of well, it's on the recorded record.
Right.
Okay, seconded. I will say discussion and amended to read. Okay. We will make a donation to WCAT in the amount of $100 when we can confirm that it is allowable? Is that what we really?
Yes.
Okay. That it is allowable. That amount is allowable.
That sounds great.
Okay. New motion. We will make a donation to WCAT in the amount of $100 when we can confirm that amount is allowable. Well, that means we can do this much more quickly.
Second.
Awesome. Thank you, Danielle. So then, let's vote. Elizabeth, what do you think?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Teresa?
Yes.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Daniela?
Yes.
Lindsay? Emma?
I wasn't here last meeting. Does that mean I can still say yes?
You can vote. Yeah, no, you can, because this is just what we're
Okay.
talking about right now.
All right. Yes.
Eileen?
Yes.
Maria?
Yes.
And I also say yes. Okay, so then whose action item is it to check about the legality of that donation? Do you want me? I mean, I'm happy to reach out to either WCAT or to the town or whatever.
I'm happy to do it as well because I have to email them anyway about the MLK event thing. So I can ask those 3 questions. If they're a town body, wait, what am I? No, I think we have to ask town council, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking
Or
I can
Steve
email.
Mayo.
I can email Tom Mullen and find out if yeah, about the like legal side of it.
Mhm.
Okay, I can do that. And if it's a go, then I don't even know how we make a donation. Like, would I write a check and then get reimbursed by Sherry?
Can't the check be directly written
Yeah, I
by
don't
the
know.
town? It's an expense.
Yeah, but
Maria,
all of our
can-
other expenses, we pay for it and then get reimbursed.
Or they have to submit an invoice, but they can't do that for a donation.
Right. That would be interesting. I think
Yeah,
probably
if
I'll
it's
just
coming
use,
from the line item budget, then I would check with Steve Mayo. If it's coming out of the revolving account, you might want to check with Steve Mayo again to figure out who the right person is to transfer the money from the revolving account to WCAT.
okay.
It might be the town accountant. Yeah, I'm not positive.
Okay, will do. Cool. Any other stuff about the WCAT donation? Okay. Next is matters not anticipated. Yeah, Yana, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that a new email was sent out about the Warrior Committee, and some people were concerned like they had the previous commitments on Tuesdays and also clashes with the school committee meeting. So they were doing a survey if if like that same week, the Monday or Wednesday will work better, but or keep it the Tuesdays. But that's what we
So
have.
the dates are still up in the air?
Yeah.
Okay.
It would be the same those same 3 weeks. Just either Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesdays.
Okay, good to know. Jeremy, go ahead.
Yeah, I had emailed you, Benny, earlier today, but I don't know if you got it or not. But one thing that came up during our MLK discussions was thanking all those people that nominated someone for the service awards. But beyond that, a thing that came to my mind is, and I'm just throwing it out for the group to think about, and there's no discussion or thoughts need to be made tonight, decisions, but I thought about like basically a monthly shout out from the WHRC to a person or a business in town that either is working towards our mission or has done something, you know, that we say, hey, that's cool, that's great. Thanks for being, you know, a part of the community and doing that, or something like that. So I don't know what other people think of it, but you know, it's just a way for us to get out in the community and say thanks for doing it. No award, no nothing. You know, it's basically it's a thank you letter to someone or some group in town that, you know, has gone above and beyond, or maybe just does it all the time because that's what they do, but something that we recognize. And it goes along with having us be educated by bringing people in to talk to us, but also to educate the town and let them know that we observe and we know that, you know, people are working, you know, every day to increase, you know, all inclusively in the town and stuff. So, you know, we can think about it. People can say it's not a good idea, it is, but whatever. I don't know what it would look like, but it's just something that I wanted to get on people's radar. So
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
I think that's a wonderful idea. The only issue I see is how are we going to identify or find these people? Are they going to be self-nominated? Is someone else going to nominate them? Are we going to be like searching around town looking for this? I mean, how are we going to know? And I think we should go beyond writing them a letter. I think that we should recognize them in the item, on patch, and every other different way, because the more we mention WHRC in line with anything, the more people will realize we are here. So I think it's a great idea, but how are we going to identify the people, I think would be the biggest challenge.
Well, I think we can even just think of the people that we had just invited so far to our meetings. Like we had, I'm thinking of the represent, like obviously Glavia tonight, but then there is the other person that came before that, you know, we had
Sue
two people that
Hertz.
came in right last time. And then before that, I think we had somebody talk about the Disability Council or the other organizations in town. So I think even if we start with those folks, like we already have like 4 people that we have had here that make an impact in the community that, you know.
That's true,
Yeah.
because even Hispanic Heritage, we had a wonderful person. For AAPI, we had 2 wonderful people who from the community stepped up and helped us.
Lindsay, go ahead.
I think a really good example of that would be the person or the people who, you know, made the donation in the first place. I think, you know, even if we go to like the festival by the lake or, you know, anything like that, any one of those stands is there a lot of small businesses that, you know, play a role in the community or from the community. So I think that would be a good way to go about finding other individuals or places as well.
Yeah, totally. I think the mask person who donated that money, there's a local business in Greenwood that donated money to us 2 years ago. There's like WCAT, I think we could do a shout out to. Like there's no end of organizations and people I think that we could do a quick like visibility boost, both for us and for them. I think it's cool. So what would the next steps be? Like we could kind of compile a list and then just like have a running list. So it's like, okay, February, I'm going to make this post and it's going to be for WCAT, and March we'll make the post and it's going to be, you know, like have it all kind of like ready to do those shout out. I don't know. I guess what are the next steps?
I think that's a good first step. Finally, you know, get ourselves a list, but we also have to determine who, when.
So far just now, the people that we said was the Masked Valkyrie, the Veiled Valkyrie, WCAT, Flavia, Sue, and I can't remember Sue's other person's name.
Was it William? Ronald? I'm drawing a blank too. I can't remember.
Who else? Other people? Somebody said some other people. Who am I missing?
It was the lady that came and talked about disabilities
Yeah.
group.
That
I don't
was-
remember her name.
Yeah, from a disability. Yes, okay. I forget her name right now too. Do people have other folks that are coming to mind that you would love to do a shout out for?
It was Sue Hertz and Jerry. Jerry was the guy's name.
Jerry.
Can we just do something more than just a Facebook post? Like, could we write
yeah.
a thank you letter and send some swag that we have in trunks or in sheds or whatever?
Send them a pin.
Yeah, or a handful of pins or something so that they can share them with their clients and customers and that kind of thing.
I will say, just at the current moment, quick, put a pin in it, so to speak. We don't really have any swag because that Halloween event was like a total madhouse.
Like
So
that, yeah.
we got cleaned out.
I
Maybe
have
I'm gonna
one
order more
extra.
pins. The other swag I don't know about, but more pins I can definitely order.
You can buy pre-made certificates at Staples that you can run through a printer and put people's names on it. And they come in little folders. And just giving somebody like that they can put, display at their business even. You know, that if it says something like the WCAT honor, the WHRC honors, blah, 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 for their contributions to the mission of the WHRC or whatever we want to say. We can put our logo on it. I can make you a template you can use with our logo on it and the colors if you'd like. But I think if we give them something more than, it can come with a letter, you know, that explains, that has boilerplate language explaining. But I think we need to give them something they could possibly display in their shops. You know, it's, you know, you don't want to give them a plaque because nobody wants plaques anymore. But something like this would be a nice thing. And we can, I think we should feature them in the item. And also announce that they've won in the patch. You know, with this month's honoree. Jeremy, is that kind of thing what you're thinking about?
Well, I guess I wouldn't call it a win. I mean, I just thought of it as like a letter. You know, originally I just thought of it as like a handwritten letter signed by the HRC to someone in the community or some set, and not like a huge, like popularity. Not popularity, but a contest, right? Like I just considered it like a nice gesture to somebody, a handwritten note, and you know, whether it comes from Benny as the chair or whether it comes from signed by all of us with a virtual signature, I don't know, but you know, but I like the idea of having something from the HRC too, like a pin or something. But I definitely think it should come with a letter that is written specifically for that person, whether there's other stuff in a packet or not. But my original envision was that it was really a personalized thank you for what you do in our community from the HRC. So.
And in light of what we were discussing before about raising our visibility and people's consciousness of us, I know it's going to sound self-serving, but I think it's also an opportunity for us to raise the profile of the WHRC by letting people know that we're doing this kind of thing, and just thanking the person more publicly too. I agree, it should be a really nice letter. Like I said, we can accompany it with the certificate, and then we can post it in places that person is the one we're recognizing in that particular month.
Yeah, I guess I tend to agree that if the person or the business is willing for the exposure, then definitely a write-up of, you know, or a little caption, almost a monthly feature, right, from the HRC in there about highlights of people in the community or whatever, and this is what they've done, and this is why we feel like they deserve a thank you from the HRC commission. So.
Okay, so do we want to pick one of these people and I can start doing, I can start it this month and reach out to them? I guess what I'm thinking is I would send them the letter and say, we would love to share this more broadly with the community to kind of highlight the many people in our town, the many people and organizations in our town that are supporting this type of work. Like, would you be interested in being sort of featured in a quick letter to the item or a Facebook post or something like that?
Can we do this after we give the awards for the MLK and we put them out? Because I just think that would just be better instead, so it's not taking away from them, from them. So I imagine we'll be done by the second week of February. So if we do the first one after February vacation.
Right.
Okay. So
Yeah.
do we want to? Oh, go ahead, Jeremy.
I think Nicole makes a good point, because we don't want to overshadow the award winners that have already been told and would have been presented already. And it gives us a little bit of time to kind of firm up the idea as well. So because I don't, we don't have to jump on it. I think it's a long-term add-on to what we're doing, and hopefully it evolves into the perfect entity, because it won't be from the start. I guarantee you that. But I just think it's a way for us also to continue to keep a pulse on our community and look for potential things that are out there for us to recognize and say, hey, at least for me, because I'm not always good about keeping up on everything in the community. So I will be the first to admit that. So.
I love the idea. I think the only thing I would say is I would maybe not do the certificate, because it just feels really similar to what is given to the awardees for the MLK awards. I love the letter of the idea with either pins or stickers from the HRC, and I can look into, once we get more of a sense in terms of our finances, I can definitely order pins, because I think the pins were somewhere between $50 and $65. And we had voted on that at a previous meeting. And I can also look into stickers and let people know at the next meeting.
Okay. Well, so then let's talk more about this at our next meeting, which will be after the virtual MLK CSKD event has already landed, and we can take it from there. I love this idea. Thank you, Jeremy. Any other matters not anticipated?
I just had one thing. I know we talked a little bit about Pride earlier. Just a plug in case anyone is interested. A friend and college classmate of mine, Nima Avashia, she is a queer Asian American teacher and writer who has a book that's being published next month called Another Appalachia. She is the daughter of Indian immigrants who was born and raised in rural West Virginia. And the whole story is just her whole story is just amazing. And I've heard a bunch of interviews with her. And it's just just such a great story. So she's doing book readings. So if anyone who's working on Pride is interested, I'm happy to connect them with her. She lives in Massachusetts. She lives in Jamaica Plain. So she is local. But
could you spell her name for the record here?
Nima is Neema. And her last name is Avashia, Avashia.
Thank you.
Yep. Just an idea I'm putting out there.
Cool. Thanks, Maria.
Yep.
Any other things before we close out? Okay, cool. Sherry, would you talk to us about our action list?
Okay. Actually, for MLK, CSK, the committee will aggressively get the word out about the virtual presentation that's going to be during Black History Month. Let's see. There isn't any distinctive action item for International Women's Day because we already have meetings planned and we already have things in motion. Let's see. School committee land acknowledgement. Benny and Eileen will share the language for our land acknowledgement at the next meeting. Lots of discussion around finance. Sherry is going to speak with the town finance clerk about delineating which account contain which money, where it's spent, what's left in each one. Benny, Eileen, and Elizabeth are going to exchange some ideas about our artists to book for Pride Month. Let's see. And Betty and Nicole are going to check on the legality of the donation. They're going to check with Tom Mullen and also with Steve Mayo on how we would pay such a donation from the line item account. And that takes care of that. Because we tabled the work on recognizing the citizen until next month.
Yeah. All right. Well then, would anybody like to make a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Oh.
We got a second, we got a third, we got a fourth over here. Okay. Elizabeth, what do you say about adjourning?
Yes.
Nicole,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
Jeremy,
Yes.
Daniela,
Yes.
Emma,
Yes.
Eileen,
Yes.
Maria,
Yes.
Lindsay. And I also say yes. All right. Thank you, everybody. I hope you have a good night.